Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naran Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishriki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 19, Text 9 and 10. Saha api cha anugataha strainaha soapchanugata strainaha kripanaha tam prasaditam kripanastam prasaditum kurvan idavida karam kurvannidavida na asaknod pati sandhitum nasaknod pati sandhitum soapi chanugatasrainaha kripanastam prasaditum kurvannidavada idavidakaram nasaknod pati sandhitum soyapchanugatasrainaha kripanastam prasaditum kurvannidavidakaram nasaknot patisanditum. That he, goat, api, also, cha, also, anugataha, following the she goat, strainaha, henpecked, tripanaha, very poor, tam, her, rasaditum, to satisfy, kurvan, making, idavida an utterance in the language of the goats. Na, not. Asaknod was able. Pati, on the road. Sandhitum, to satisfy. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Being very sorry, the he-goat, who was subservient to his wife, followed the she-goat on the road and tried his best to flatter her, but he could not pacify her. Translation with repetition. Being very sorry, the he-goat, who was subservient to his wife, followed the she-goat on the road and tried his best to flatter her, but he could not pacify her. No purport. So we read text 10 also. Tasya tatra tujakaschet aja swami achinnadrusha lambantam vrishanam bhuyah sandate arthaya yogavid. Tasya of the he-goat, tatra thereupon, Dujaha Brahmana, Kaschit some, Ajaswami the maintainer of another she-goat, Achinnat castrated, made effeminate, Rusha out of anger, Lambantam long, Dhrijanam testicles, Bhuyaha again, Sandhate joined, Arthaya for self-interest, Yogavid expert in the power of mystic yoga. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. The she-goat went to the residence of a Brahmana who was the maintainer of another she-goat, and that Brahmana angrily cut off the he-goat's dangling testicles. But at but at the he-goat's request, the Brahmana later rejoined them by the power of mystic yoga. Purport. Here, Shukracharya is figuratively described as the husband of another she-goat. This indicates that the relationship between husband and wife in any society, whether higher or lower than human society, is nothing but the same relationship between he-goat and she-goat. For the material relation between a man and woman is one of sex. Yanmaitunadi grihame visukam hitucham. Shukracharya was an acharya or expert in family affairs, which involves the transfer of semen from he-goat to she-goat. The words Kastis Ajaswami expressly indicate herein that Shukracharya was no better than Yati. For both of them were interested in family affairs generated by Shukra or semen. Shukracharya first cursed Ayati to become old so that he could no longer indulge in sex. But when Shukracharya saw that Ayati's emasculation would make his own daughter a victim of punishment, he used his mystic power to restore Ayati's masculinity. Because he used his power of mystic yoga for family affairs and not to realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead, this exercise in the magic of yoga was no better than the affairs of he-goat and she-goat. Yogi power should properly be used to realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As the Lord Himself recommends in Bhagavad Gita 6:47, Yoginam api sarvesham madgati nantaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam samayukta tamo mataha. Of all yogis, he who always abides in me with great faith, worshipping me in transcendental loving service, is most intimately united with me in yoga, and is the highest of all. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shaktajanninatannina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschadati Shatarane Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Sapatantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Shri Gurum Vaishnavamsa Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Tam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakamitam Cha Vanchakalpatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyev Cha Patitana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Langayate Girim Yatkripatamam Vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Yatkripatamam Vande Paramanandam Madhavam Shri Chaitanyeshwaram Prabhupada Patita Pavanam. So, ninth canto, the story of Ayati and how he achieves liberation. So, Ayati, the great king, so much is talked about him in some many Puranas. So, he was also cursed, restored, a very dynamic material life Yayati had. He is a person who enjoyed the material world at most, and he is also a person who went to heaven, fell down from heaven, regained his position. And here, Bhagavatam, this chapter talks about King Yayati achieves liberation. So the process of Krishna consciousness is so strong that it can restore a soul to his original position, no matter what level he is in his current position. He may be in a very, very deplorable position, material life, very bad in material life, very bad karma. Many things in material life is not successful, frustration after frustration. Also, sometimes accessing success and very much attached to material life, money, women, position, followers. But ultimately, nothing makes a woman who is very expert in gaining increment in material life. Stri, the word stri itself means one who can expand material life. So, a woman in this material world is created by Krishna. It is not that women are created by somebody else and man is created by somebody else. Man is also created by the Lord, woman is also created by the Lord. Then you will ask the question, why is woman blamed for everything the man's success or failures? Like in English, they say, behind every successful man, there is a woman. And spiritually, we say, behind every unsuccessful man, there is a woman. Right? Everything blame. Why women are blamed so much? Matajis are sitting here, they'll all get upset. It's a fact that if woman is materially motivated, if a woman is materially motivated, then she can be a dangerous association when a man has it. But a woman is placed in a very spiritual, Vedic, spiritual environment or mindset, then she is a great asset to a man. Both are explained in the Shastra. Woman is accepted as a dangerous object for spiritual life in some places. In some places it is mentioned she is a friend, she is a boat on which a man can safely cross the material world. That is also mentioned. So the question is not whether the woman is good or bad or useful or not useful. The question here is Krishna conscious woman and un-Krishna conscious woman. Similarly, a Krishna conscious man, un-Krishna conscious man. So Shastras talk so much about an ideal family life where a husband can utilize the association of a woman in a Krishna conscious way where both elevate in Krishna consciousness. That is the purpose of the institution called marriage. But that institution called marriage will not work if either woman or man are too materially attached. Woman is the source of material expansion, because of which the Lord has given her all that is required for expansion of material life. Intelligence, like Bhagavad Gita tells, intelligence is a feminine quality. Woman is very intelligent. Woman knows how to get things out of a man. A man will be surprised. After the pocket is empty, he will realize he got cheated. Many times it happens. You'll never know. So here Yayati is thinking, I got cheated. I'm a doll in the hand of a woman. Because material world is created for expansion. And for expansion, woman is needed. Man alone cannot expand. Right. A man is not that much care for his own things. He will eat when the food is there, he'll eat. If food is not there, he will not eat. House is not there, he'll stay anywhere he wants. Generally, a man is more vagabond. But woman, money is needed, house is needed, bank balance is needed, future plan is needed, where the students will study is needed, what the children will do after their life, after their education is needed, how everybody will settle, after the children are settled, how they will be settled in retired life, and how she should be taken care of. And it is a great qualification for a wife who dies before the husband dies. So she is well taken care of. And woman is very fortunate if she has 100 children. And that is why whenever there is a blessing in olden days, what does it say? Sahasra Putravati. Something like that. Always woman is blessed with many children. Because she is there to expand. So she needs many children. So she is the cause, or she is the instrument through which Krishna expands his material world. And if she has to expand this material world, the man has to be under her control. Because woman does not have that spirit of a man to earn, control, command. But she can command the man. So she uses all the expertise of the man for expansion. So the Lord has given her all the qualities needed to control a man. So you cannot blame a lady for that. It is given to her by nature, the quality to control. That is why they said that the brahmachari should be far away from a woman, because she has a power. We may ask, so brahmachari is less powerful than a lady? Yeah, in some sense. Why? Because the Lord has given her the capacity to attract a man and keep the man under her control and expand. Stree, expand materialism. Person comes as a brahmachari, he gets married, then you know how things expand. When the lady girl is also very Krishna conscious, then material expansion won't be there. Right? Sometimes if the man is under the control of the woman, then you can see one house, two house, one car, two car, one business, another business, one child, two child, three child, one in America, one in Australia, one in Europe. And after that, you will see one house, two house, so many businesses. Japamala still hanging on the wall. Before Japamala was in the hand, now Japamala is hanging. Once in a while they may take the Japamala. As Prabhupada said, material expansion and spiritual expansion will not go together. It's not possible. It's like water and fire. Either you can have water or you can fire. Both cannot together be there. But of course, we should not forget that there are great devotees who have been very wealthy, whose material life is very expanding, but still they are Krishna conscious. They are there, but they are very rare. Bhagavatam itself says, Ambarish Maharaj, great kings, Prahlad Maharaj, they were not poverty stricken or they did not limit their wealth. They did not limit their material acquisitions. They were very materially affluent. But at the same time, they were Krishna conscious. Even in Chaitanya Lila, you will find what is that person who very rich and very centered man, but a Chaitanya's great devotee. Pundarika Vidyanidhi. Pundarika Vidyanidhi was a great devotee of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Nobody could even compare his devotion to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Even Gadadhar Pandit got confused. He thought when Mukunda, I think, Gadadhar's friend, when he introduced Gadadhar Pandit to Pundarika Vidyanidhi, he was very confused. His house is huge, so many servants, everything in the house is so opulent, big cushions, and Pundarika also nice, so many, like curly hair and scented everywhere, always chewing pan, and that kind of a flamboyant kind of a look. So Gadadhar also got confused. He's a devotee, he looks not like a devotee. He was confused. Then Mukunda said, wait, you'll see how it is. So there was an instance of some chanting of Bhagavatam, especially the verse about Puttanite, right? And Pundarika Vidyanidhi, hearing that, went into an ecstasy. Oh, he went into such an ecstasy. Gadadhar was totally surprised. My God, such an ecstasy. He threw his vessels, he tore his silk cloth, he went mad. So many bodyguards are there, nobody could control him. Such an ecstasy and crying for Krishna. And Gadadhar said, my God, I offended him. So that is, but they are instruments which support or doesn't support spiritualism. So generally, material expansions, material opulences do not support spiritualism, but it does in some cases. In case of Pundarika Vidyanidhi, such a great devotee, so much so that Gadadhar Pandit said, I didn't offend, so I should take initiation from Pundarika. That is, so Gadadhar took initiation even from Pundarika Vidyanidhi. Even though he was such a great associate of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And you will say, oh, he didn't take initiation from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we don't understand all these esoteric meanings of the activities of the devotees. So anyway, here Yati is a person who materially was opulent, but he was materially opulent, but did not support any spiritualism. Hence, he is personally taking the trouble to detach himself. That is the quality of a devotee. A devotee may be stuck in the material world, stuck in materialism, so much so that he is as good as a material karmi, even though in his heart he is a devotee. But he struggles and detaches himself from his negative situations around him, this disadvantageous situation around him. So that struggle has to go on in a heart. Then he is considered a progressive devotee. Devotees are progressive. Every day he has to progress. Every month he has to progress. Every year he has to progress in his Krishna consciousness. That is called a progressive devotee. Everybody is in Maya. Everybody is in the material world. No doubt. Nobody need to say, no, I'm not in Maya. But a devotee, the difference of a devotee is that he is trying every day, inch by inch, to try to get out of that. Every day he should be struggling little bit more to be a better in spiritual environment rather than material environment. So this is what Ayat is doing, and he's trying to give the story of his own story in the form of a goat. How this he goat is so much controlled by the she goat and it's now time to get out. So Vedic life is made in such a way that a man realizes that now enough is enough. He has to expand. He has to get out of this material expansion and expand his spiritual life. That is the life of a devotee. So this is what the story of these things in these personalities in Bhagavatam tell us how to reject materialism and accept spiritualism. It will be different for different people. You cannot follow one man's process. Each person has his way of advancing in spiritual life because every person is controlled by a particular way of karma, different varieties of karmas, different varieties of mayas, different shades of mayas. It is not one rule for everybody. People cannot use one man's method. Of course, the rules may be same. Like in Krishna consciousness, we have chanting Hare Krishna, following principles, reading Bhagavatam, attending sadhanas, relationship with devotees, going to different dhams, all the different aspects of Navaveda Bhakti you may do. That's the same for everybody. But how we approach as far as our personal life is concerned, that is unique. You can see some good qualities in others. We can try to follow that. We can try to get that. But how one man is trying to get out of Maya and trying to be spiritually strong will be different how another man has to do it. So that is why we need guidance in spiritual life. According to our situation, how do we treat? How do we deal with our problems and get over that and come to a better spiritual position? Sometimes it takes time for one person to himself be self-directed by reading Bhagavatam, by seeing others' life, by associating with devotees. One will be able to direct his own life in such a way that he can day by day become better in Krishna consciousness. Now that is the great wealth of a devotee. How one devotee crossed over material world. That is why great Vaishnavas are called as naukas, boats. And it said that they don't take away the boat and go. They cross the river and take the boat and they head and go away. Like we have in Kaveri River. And people cross the Kaveri River, they call this, what do they call that? Argale. Right? And they cross the river, keep the Argale on the head and go away. Vaishnavas don't do that. The boat is always left on the bank of the river for others to cross. The life experience of a devotee. So a life experience of a devotee is a great asset for others to follow. So by these observations, first of all, a devotee has to be very observant. He has to be observant of the material world, observant of how devotees in the material world are dealing with the material things, how karmis are dealing in the material world, what shastras are talking about, how to deal with the material world. So with all these kind of an assessment, he makes a self-assessment, what is good for him, how does he cross this material world, which is fine, which is established as dukhalayam asasvatam by the Lord himself. Nobody can be happy permanently in this material world. So one has to progress. So this way a devotee progresses step by step and he realizes his spiritual nature and ultimately he becomes fixed in spiritual growth alone. Some people may reject material life fully. Some people will grow spiritually with material life itself by regulating the material life. Somebody may be externally looking that he is not at all regulating his material life, he is so opulent, but internally he is growing spiritually. These are all different ways how one has to grow internally spiritually. And that is the duty of a devotee when he dedicates his life to Krishna consciousness. Whether he is inside the temple or is outside the temple, he is staying in his home, he is a grahastha or he is a brahmachari or he is a sannyasi. This struggle is same. And day we stop the struggle, we are finished. So the struggle, internal struggle should not stop. Day by day one has to try. Even if he is not able to do, he should know that this is my limitation. I need to cross over this limitation and be better in spiritual life. Step by step I had to progress. It is not that one fine, okay, some people do the one fine day, they just get up and get out of the house and go. Very rarely. So somebody does it quickly, somebody does it step by step, somebody does it in an inclusive way. Whichever way you follow, the goal, life's goal has to be that one has to be spiritually better every day. And what is the meaning of spiritually better every day? Material dependence should become lesser and lesser. What dependence for what? For happiness. Our happiness should not be totally dependent upon material situations on a day-to-day basis. So for a spiritualist, his dependence on materialism is very less for his internal happiness. For a material person, his material surroundings are so much dependent. If this material surrounding is not there, he cannot be happy. He'll become insecure, he'll be very unhappy, hankering. But a spiritually progressing person, he limits his material surroundings little, and then in one day comes that minimum material requirements. Still he is happy. But if you are limiting your material things and day by day becoming sad, such a person should not try to renounce because it is not helping him. So such people should be in the material world, slowly try. Immediately you cannot give up material things. This is called a progressive person, where the happiness, right, his good spirits, happiness, his active life is not dependent upon material items around him. He reduces that. There are certain things you cannot stop food, but you can stop opulent food. Right? You cannot stop breathing. Breathing can never be stopped. So there are certain things you cannot stop. There are minimum things required for existence. So as Bhagavatam says, what we have, artha, what one has, material opulence, what one has, should be utilized for engaging in Krishna consciousness, not for upakalpate, not for material expansions. This is the first beginning of Bhagavatam. Purpose of Bhagavatam is to expand spiritualism and reduce materialism without reducing your spirit of happiness. So our happiness becomes dependent on spiritual things, not on material things. So money, women, position, all these things are the hindrances which stops us from spiritual growth. But they are very important instruments for material happiness. So when we keep reducing that and increase our happiness, that is a sign that spiritually we are becoming happy. Otherwise, it shows that materially you are happy, but as soon as the material things are removed, you are unhappy. So advancement in spiritual life is very easy to understand. Self-analysis. We can know how many things if goes away from me, finished, I am unhappy today. But even if all the material surroundings go away, I'm still able to be sthita prajna. Then, so this is a criterion for Krishna consciousness. Krishna uses this word in Bhagavad Gita, yoga kshema vahamyam. What does it say? Krishna says, if you are fully surrendered to me, devoted to me, I will make sure that I will preserve what you have and I'll give what you don't have. This is yoga kshema vahamyam. But in the same Bhagavad Gita, in the early chapter, Krishna says, niryoga kshemam. What is that? You stop your own well-being. Only when you become nir-yoga kshemam, Krishna can become yoga kshem. Which means we are not supposed to maintain, sustain, and grow our material requirements for happiness. That is Krishna's concern. So when a devotee gives up materialism and surrenders to the Lord totally, then the Lord protects and maintains him. So from our side, we should be more and more or lesser and lesser lessen our anxiety for material surroundings, material well-being, yoga kshemaha, material well-being, preserving things and acquiring things. These are the two things. We preserve what we have and we acquire what we don't have. So Krishna says, don't do that. But when you give that up and you surrender, then I will do that for you. To the extent what is needed for you. And this faith in Krishna is called Krishna conscious faith. The faith that Krishna will give what I need. No matter. how much I try to keep it or acquire, up to him. This is surrender. So devotee progresses from materialism, material dependence to spiritual dependence. It's dependence on Krishna's strength to maintain me, because the Lord maintains everybody. So a devotee and a non-devotee. The difference is that a devotee is depending on Krishna for his maintenance. A non-devotee is depending on all his surrounding things for his maintenance. This is the difference. Stop here. What time class stops? 8:30? Stop. Any questions or comments? Anybody wants to add? If I can't hear you. Collection? You're talking about our service of going and collecting for the Lord. No, nothing will happen automatically. What is the connection between going for collection and material happiness? Your happiness in the end of the day, is it based upon a collection? That is the question. Automatically. Nothing will happen automatically. It is like saying that Arjuna was a great devotee of Krishna. Will Krishna fight for Arjuna and Arjuna sit in his home? Arjuna had to fight. Arjuna had to go through the anxieties. Arjuna had to go and utilize his intelligence. Manas, Buddhi, both has to be engaged in Krishna consciousness by thinking, planning. So the body, mind, and intelligence of a devotee has to be pushed in Krishna consciousness. Then the Krishna conscious result may come. So Krishna conscious result is not based upon you being more Krishna conscious or less Krishna conscious. We cannot connect material success with Krishna consciousness. Oh, he is a great devotee. Why? He is able to collect 10 lakh. He is a very bad devotee because he is only collecting 1 lakh. No. The result of our work is a combination of so many things. A little bit of Krishna's help, more of your endeavor, something about your karma. Because it's an ability to go out, talk to people, convince them. So the result will many times depend upon one's good karma and his efforts and his inbuilt skills. But that has nothing to do with Krishna consciousness. But the effort a devotee is putting to serve Krishna by that activity, that is Krishna consciousness. So I may have skill, I may not have skill. If I don't have skill also, I engage whatever I have in Krishna service. And end of the day, he is sleeping peacefully. I did my work for Krishna as much as I could. But there will be other devotee who is materially very skillful. He can just go like that, convince people, get money. But he is sleeping happily because he collected that much. He is not sleeping happily because he did his work for Krishna. So there are two differences in these two happiness. One is I did my duty to Krishna, surrender to Krishna. Result belong to Krishna. I did my duty. Surrender to Krishna. Other person is not surrendered to Krishna. He is depending on his skill for his happiness. He may bring success for Krishna in terms of man, material, money. That is okay. He's doubting his skill in Krishna service. But Krishna conscious advancement does not depend upon quantum of money coming, quantum of success in your service. It depends upon the quantum of maturity you have in your heart. In Priti Bhajatam Priti Purvakam. Whatever we are doing, are we able to do it in love and affection for Krishna, as a duty to Krishna, nothing for myself. So that doesn't mean that his success rate will be high. No, his spiritual success will be high. Material success may depend upon so many other things. And if Krishna wants around whom he will give him also. That's up to Krishna. But don't measure Krishna consciousness on material abilities or results. But in the material world, then you may say, no, I'm very Krishna conscious. Money is not coming. What can I do? That is cheating. We should not use those things for saying, no, no, result is not coming. But the president is saying, Arey Baba, what is happening? Nothing is coming. Because we are not God. We are all human beings. So material management depends upon seeing your result and performance also. So in to some extent, those are measures also to see whether the man is engaging whole day in Krishna consciousness or not. Because if a person is working 6 to 8 hours a day in going, definitely result will come. May not be very high level. There will be some result. Or at least in your behavior, we will see result of Krishna consciousness in you. So the devotee, senior devotees will know. He is very Krishna conscious, result is not so much, no problem. The result is very high, but no Krishna conscious. Then also anxiety for the temple president. He will call and say, "Hey, Baba, he may be bringing money, but no Mangalarti, no sadhana, no chanting. You better don't bring money." So the purpose is Krishna conscious advancement, not the result. And somebody will be very Krishna conscious and he is doing his best and some result are coming. It may be money, it may be devotees, it may be so many things. So we cannot measure, we cannot keep those as a parameters for measuring Krishna consciousness. But yes, in a material management, they are also a criterion in measure. So it's a balanced kind of thing, right? So if you're becoming a great devotee, don't think that money will just come or result will just come. May come, may not come. So what is needed is effort. Is our effort in the daytime being fully engaged for Krishna? Because our mind in young days has to be mind and body has to be engaged in Krishna's service. Otherwise, they will go in another direction. So all these things are for that purpose. It may mean building temple, it may mean building a big organization, it may mean convincing people, it may mean managing, it may mean so many things. It may be just driving. Somebody is very fond of driving. I'll drive Krishna's car. It is better than driving outside taxi. As much as that. Engagement in Krishna consciousness is more important. Our efforts in a day, how much it is going to Krishna? Body wise, first. Afterwards, mind wise also. How much time in the day I was really Krishna conscious while I was doing my service. That is also another level. First, his body is engaged. Rather than simply standing in the temple and walking up and down and chanting, go out and preach. So the body is engaged in Krishna conscious activities because we can only get out of material karma using this body and its action. It's a vehicle. Body and action is a vehicle to be Krishna conscious. Otherwise, it will become un-Krishna conscious. Right? The curtain is closed for a long time. Too long. Jai Shri Krishna Balaram. Anything else? Karindra Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.